1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and. In this video, I'm going to show you how to transform your finger picking technique in just 5 minutes a day. So if you've been dealing with issues like you want to be able to play a little bit faster, or you want to play more confidently and not crash into the wrong strings, this video is for you. To be able to practice the exercises I'm going to show you, you're going to have to download the free PDF, and the link is right below the description. I've created 5 really cool finger picking patterns that you're going to practice over the chord progression to Hotel California. So be sure to grab that. It's free and it's got everything you need to be able to practice this at home. The main concept of this video and lesson is we want to fix what I call the 8 movement mistake. So let's just imagine that you're playing a chord like an A minor chord, and you want to finger pick 4 notes. You want to finger pick the 5th string, the 3rd string, 2nd, 1st with thumb, index, middle, and your ring finger. Here's what I see a lot of beginners doing, and also some intermediate players. Their hand is floating out in front of the guitar, and they have to go in, making one movement to go find the 5th string, and then they pluck the 5th string and then they move away. That's 2 movements. Then they go in with their index finger and then move the hand away. You see how my hand is moving in and out away from the guitar? Then if we do that with the middle finger, and then if we do it with the ring finger, so it's like, and maybe it's not that pronounced, but maybe it's floating out here. So if that's 4 fingers and a movement in and out each time, that's 8 movements. That is going to completely disrupt your sense of confidence, your accuracy, and your speed. This is the cure. This is the whole point of this video, or one of the main points. You're going to do a technique called planting. I'm not talking about Robert Plant. I'm not talking about a desk plant. And I'm not talking about a nuclear power plant. I'm talking about planting your fingers on the strings ahead of time. Okay, so put your thumb and all 3 fingers, index, middle, and ring, on the strings. So index, middle, ring on the top 3 strings, thumb here. As though you were going to pluck a chord, but you're not going to pluck a chord. You're going to do these one at a time. So you're planting everything first. Play the thumb. I landed on the 4th string. If you can do that, that's great. Now watch what I'm going to do. I pluck the index finger by going into my hand. Middle and ring finger stay. Then I pluck the middle finger. Thumb and ring finger are still touching. And now the ring finger. So it's one motion. See that? It's almost like I can just roll up the chord. Instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Whoops, I missed it. So we want to stop the bouncing and you want to start planting those fingers. A really great analogy, my wife, sometimes she attempts to take me rock climbing, and I'm really petrified of stuff like that. It's not for me. But a rock climber, the instructions, theoretically, were I able to do it, are that since you've got 4 limbs, you got 2 hands and 2 feet, always 3 of those limbs need to be touching while 1 limb goes to another place. So, either a hand singly moves while all 3 other limbs are down, or a foot moves. So you're always staying planted and moving the one thing you need to move. So this is very similar. Okay? Now we haven't made a pattern out of this yet, but I just want you to get the concept. Now let's talk about issue number 2, ascending patterns versus descending patterns. So when you're going from low to high strings, this planting technique works great. For example, if I'm just talking about my fingers, everything's down and I can peel them away one at a time. However, if the strings are coming from high to low, you've got to do one finger at a time. The planting just won't work. So I'm only touching the ring finger, then the middle finger goes down as soon as possible, then middle finger goes plucks, index finger goes down as soon as possible. Okay? You'll see if you try to plant the fingers and go from the high fingers, the high strings down to the low strings, it won't work so well. So plant on the way up, single on the way down. Okay, real quick, let's talk about 2 different positions that your hand can be in. On the right hand, these are both acceptable. I use them both, and you can do whatever is comfortable for you. The first concept is that we use index, ring, and middle on the right hand on the top strings. And chances are it won't feel comfortable to plant your pinky. So that's kind of a 4-finger right hand technique. Players like Richard Smith, Andre Segovia, classical players, they pretty much live by that fingering. Another fingering that I like very much, or a position, is to use just 3 fingers. So index and middle on the top 2 strings, and that sort of enables you to put your pinky on the top of the guitar a little bit better. I find that these 3 fingers, thumb, index, middle, can cover a lot of ground, and they work really well as a team. So if you can do something without making it extra complicated, by all means do that. And since we're not using the 3rd finger, the pinky rests on the top, and that 3-finger technique feels pretty good. Okay, so now that we've talked about this planting technique, I would say that's a technical priority, but musically, there's another priority that we haven't yet discussed, and that is that your thumb needs to absolutely be the boss and drive the rhythm. Now, this is easier said than done. It's something that I constantly examine in my playing. I'll demonstrate it for you real quick. Okay, so even if it's a little sloppy, it's got to really pump. This is something that separates one kind of musician from another, even if it's not guitar. I've heard older drummers like Alvin Queen and Ray Mosca tell me, wow, these young drummers, they have great hands, but their feet are not solid enough. Or my old teacher, Mike Longo, he would say, yeah, there's all these pianists, they can do all this fast right hand stuff, but they don't have a solid left hand. So that is the puzzle, to keep track of the details in the fingers and retain the solidity of the bottom so that the listener can feel the beat. Let's unpack Etude California number 1, entitled San Diego. This is the basic chord progression to what we hear on Hotel California, although I'm using open position chords, so we're going to start on A minor. So get an A minor chord ready, and here's the thing. You're going to plant 3 fingers. Middle finger is touching the top string, E string. Index is touching the 2nd string. Thumb is touching the 5th string. So you've got 3 fingers already touching solidly. I'm going to play it one time for you, nice and slow. I'm using basic chord shapes, and this ought to be pretty self-explanatory. I just want you to see it go by, and I'm going to try to groove it as best as I can for you. All right, here we go. improvised a little on the last E7 chord. You might have also seen that I did some different chords. I like doing this on the D chord because I like the feeling of the bass on the 5th string. And you'll also notice that there's an F bar chord. And I understand that that bar chord can be tricky. So if you need help on making your bar chords effortless, be sure to check out this video.